The benefits of an inclusion-exclusion list when you are selling or buying a home. All right, so I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me many years ago before we had this list. I was the listing agent, and what happened is buyer went to purchase the home, and then all of a sudden the gas grill that was attached to the gas line was not there in the walkthrough. Seller said, no, that's personal property. Buyer said, no, that's attached. That stays with the house. And so an argument broke out about this old gas grill. So if you have an inclusion-exclusion list, that will take care of a lot of the gray areas where people think things might be left. One of my young agents was putting her first offer in on a property, and she was used to seeing an inclusion-exclusion list like we had. This agent did not have one. They had no idea what was included with the property. What about the drapes? What about the blinds? What about this, that? So they had no idea. So I said, here, take this list, have the listing agent, have the seller fill it out, then you'll know what's included. I'm going to give you a couple of other gray areas that this inclusion-exclusion list takes care of. All right, so let's say, for example, the seller says, I'm taking the TV. Okay, what about the wall bracket? I'm taking that too. Right on this inclusion-exclusion list, it says, if you're taking the TV, you should be repairing the wall where the bracket has been pulled out of, okay? And the seller has to check it, yes or no. Same thing with nail holes that are left in the wall when they take pictures down, mirrors down, things like that. There's a question in there. Sellers, will you be repairing the nail holes and be painting and patching that area? And the seller will answer yes or no. Another area that comes into play is, and sellers are thinking they're doing the buyers a big favor, will you be leaving any tiles, old paint, wood that were in the house before you used? Okay, so what happens is the seller will say yes or no. So the buyer will sign and initial this inclusion-exclusion list when they're writing up the offer. So the buyer is very aware what is going to stay with the property and what is going to be taken. It's also helpful because this list can be given to the seller right before they close. So they have a list what to keep with the property. And then the same thing with the buyer. When they do the final walkthrough, they have a list in their hand of what is going to stay with the property. So it's much more black and white if you have an inclusion-exclusion list, and that's some of the benefits in real estate of that.